We welcome to Larry King Live an old friend, a good guy, Sylvester Stallone, actor, writer, director, executive producer, and star of the NBC reality show The Contender, editorial director of the new magazine Sly. I have it right here. His new book is Sly Moves, My Proven Program to Lose Weight, Build Strength, Gain Willpower, and Live Your Dream. We have that here, too, so there's lots to talk about. How come none of these have to do with film?
No, well, after
What
all,
happened?
well, because, film has been very good to me, and it still has. But everywhere I've gone, I guess after Rocky and after Rambo, usually the first primary question is like, what do you do to stay in shape? What do you eat? How do you do this? Do you live in a gym? Whatever. And I thought, okay, it's a little premature. But at 58, I thought, okay, maybe I should just put it all down and see if there is something there that really does strike a honest chord or something that can be duplicated. And I think there is. So that's what the book's really about. What has worked for me, what hasn't worked, some diet miss, just feeling good. Because I think at 45 years old, 40 to 45 years old, people have to make a choice. Like, do you want to spend that second half of your life feeling a lot better than maybe you did the first half, or do you just want to keep, going down?
Did that mean you gave up film, or what?
No. Actually, I'm doing. I just signed to do the next Rambo yesterday, and it's quite different than you think.
Vietnam?
No. Actually,
Iraq?
very domestic. It's something that could happen to anyone here. He's settled into a domestic life.
National security?
No, really. He works for in the military right now. There's a problem with drugs, and usually like in bases, Fort Bragg, right outside this place, meth labs, this that, and so you have these police that infiltrate either motorcycle gangs, different kind of gangs, and they find out what's going down.
That's what Rambo does?
Well, that's him and his wife.
Oh.
I mean, it's part of it's really.
When do they shoot?
Well, I'm going to be, hopefully, it could be 5 months, 6 months.
Are you excited?
But there's also something going on, too, with Rocky. So I may end up fighting Rocky.
Both those characters, of course, made you. Rocky made you, and you don't have to work, right?
No, I don't have to work. But I
were they,
enjoy
in a
it.
sense, curses at the same time? You've done some great
They're
work.
good
That picture
curses,
you
Larry.
made with De Niro.
Thank you. Copland.
That was a great movie.
Thank you very much.
But people always think Rambo, and they think Rocky.
No matter what, you are when you hit with something like that, and of course having done quite a few of them, it becomes your legacy or your identification.
So you accept that?
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, I mean, I wouldn't be here without it. So I said, why are you looking to give towards the mouth? Usually, a lot of actors and I guess writers and any artist wants to feel as though they're everything on the spectrum. They have and they are multifaceted. But there are certain sides to that facet that really connect with the audience, and others don't as well.
Correct.
Comedy, whatever. So this is what it is. I am considered, even though I've made my life, at least at the beginning of it, through words, through literature, through writing, I'm more known to being physical. Yeah. So I thought, why not?
By the way, to your ultimate credit, maybe it hasn't been written in a long time, you really bent the odds. The University of Miami told you the one thing you should not do is act.
It's totally
get out of this business. Get out of drama school,
Mm-hmm.
the Ring Theater. You don't belong here.
Yeah.
The Rambo, the Rocky script could have been done by others. You could have made cash for the script and gotten out. You insisted you had to be in it and be involved totally with the production. Where did that gumption come from?
I think there was the naivete, but there's also part of me knowing that I'm never going to find a part for me like this. Yeah, I had done a few. I was always the mugger. I was always the outcast. I was always the fellow chasing Woody Allen down the street. I was that guy.
About Brooklyn,
well, Lords of Flatbush. But again, I was the kind of the goon.
Heavy.
I thought, okay, this is the way people perceive me. You look in the mirror and right away you say, oh, some swab, here I am, the new guy from Notting Hill 2, thank you. But no, the world perceives you a different way. So I had to be real. So I thought, okay, I'm always going to be looked at as kind of this imposing kind of guy or a threatening kind of guy. But that kind of man can also have another side to him. We judge a book by its cover. We automatically assume a guy comes in a leather coat and a hat and cut-off gloves. Oh, stay away from him. Actually, when I was filming it, police pulled me over and said, what are you doing here? What are you doing in the neighborhood? And they said, well, we're doing a film called Rocky. He goes, that creep must be Rocky. Automatically. Because they didn't know who I was. I said, see that? The creep is Rocky. I said, that's exactly why I'm doing this movie. But underneath all that creepism was a good guy.
Yeah. And a hell of a film.
Thank you.
All right. Boxing movies can do very well.
Yeah.
There's one coming now, Cinderella, right, about James Braddock.
Right.
What does it depend on?
It depends on heart.
Story?
Well, boxing's an inevitability. We know that they're going to be pounding each other. That is the least exciting part of it, because if you don't build up the volcanic explosion that's coming, and usually if it's always done through the fighter's eyes, it's not as exciting as, okay, let's do it through Adrian's eyes.
Things are gonna be great, you know that? Hey, we're getting married, you know? You wanna come?
Let's do it through her point of view. So right away you take it out of this heavily testosterone-driven world and you give it a little feminine touch, so right away it becomes a bit more poetic. And that embraces everybody rather than just guys. There's some great boxing films, but all male-driven, that's the biggest mistake there is.
And you have to care, right?
That's the whole thing.
Which you've done in The Contender. I am not a big fan.
Don't break my heart with
reality
The Contender.
I watch The Contender.
Thank you.
I think it's sensational television. You and Sugar Ray do great together. The shots, the editing is superb. The characters are so real.
Yeah.
The kid that died, oh my God.
I know.
What happened to it?
Well, what happened to it is, unfortunately, there were some decisions made to move it around, and I think it through. The first show started 20 minutes late after Fear Factor, and a lot of people turned it off. And that kind of show, then next week it was moved after The Apprentice, did very well, but people were confused. And a week later, it's moved on Sunday night, which is like limbo. People on Sunday night, they're either putting their kids to bed, just getting home, doing something, but people are not watching boxing. So it's going to be pulled. It's unfortunate. I feel sad for all the participants in it, because it was a great launching pad for all these young men and getting another shot in their life.
They are going to pay off for the million, though, right?
Well, that's going to happen. Yes, NBC is certainly going to live up to that contract, but unfortunately, it looks like Contender is going to go down for the count this year. It's too bad, because it was really a good show, and Mark Burnett and all the guys did a great job.
In the right spot, would it have worked?
There's no question.
And the right spot was later?
In the right spot, like right after The Apprentice, to give you an example, we doubled our numbers. So if we had been after The Apprentice, I'd be sitting here singing a different song. But it looks like there was
so much talent involved in that.
Yeah, well, somebody let us down somewhere along the line, and but it certainly wasn't. Well, you don't know where to put the blame. It's really a very, very big, complicated machine. I like all the participants, but whatever it is, we ended up in a kind of like in quicksand in a rowboat with a lot of leaks.
Sly Stallone's our guest. Lots to talk about: health, fitness, a magazine, and Rambo's coming. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We're back with Sly Stallone. Before we get back to the magazines and the fitness, tell me about Najib Turpin and what happened to him.
Najib Turpin was a very troubled kid in the way that he not troubled in the sense that he had mental problems, but he had a lot of drive and he had a lot of goals to achieve, and he wanted to do that in a very, very short time, and he wanted to fight because that's all he knew how to do. That's what he believed he was going to get out of the ghetto. But he also had a very, very strong sense of pride. And I think something happened along the lines when he didn't win. He still felt that he was going to do something strong and do something effective. But when he went home, I believe a personal relationships into it, something that really got to his heart.
Because he had a great little kid.
Yeah. It was just, I think, a horrible, tragic, emotional moment, seeing Valentine's Day, and I think that just. People were not being rational at that moment.
One of your popular contestants, albeit he lost, dies.
Yes. So when I heard that, I go, "You're kidding!" Oh my God! And I didn't think about the show. I just thought, this is impossible. Man's 23 years old. He's going to go places, win or lose. He's got everything. And then you start to really take accounting of your own life. You realize how fragile, how brief, and how lucky, and whatever. And then we went back for the funeral, and that's when his life really collides with yours, and you see what he had to fight to get out of, where he was going, why he was motivated. And you see his family who are, completely devastated. And man, you walk by, because this show is this is what I meant about reality shows. This is why I wanted to do it, because you're dealing with people in the real pressure cooker. You know what I mean, Larry? It's one thing to be the Bachelor and you go, oh yeah, it's great. But the hardest thing is, which of these 20 beautiful people am I going to end up with? Not a bad thing, and money. You know what I mean? Or someone, or you get, you get off The Apprentice. You go back to a nice job. These people go back to a, as tough as it gets.
How much has your life changed by fatherhood?
I would say 1,000%. The grass used to be greener. Now the grass is just like, full of weeds over there.
You lost one of your children. That taught you a lot.
Yeah, my God, my Sophia, she had to undergo surgery when she's like 3 months old, and that's when I really.
You were on this show then.
Yes, I was on this show, and I was doing Copland, and I thought, oh great, this is going to be a new revelation, everything else, and then it hits you. Then you realize all the money, all the thing, all the connection you have means nothing. And now you realize what a doctor is all about. He's almost a deity. He's like, as close as we're going to get to a religious figure. He's gonna give life or take it. You know what I mean? It's up to him. So I again developed a profound respect for the medical profession.
She turned out fine.
She's great. Well, yeah, she nags me, so she's perfectly healthy.
And your wife is an enormous success.
Oh my God, my
QVC,
wife.
QVC, right? She owns QVC.
She is as level-headed as you're ever going to find. Incredibly generous, and the worst insult I've heard ever about her goes, your wife. Let me tell you about your wife. Your wife is too nice. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I got to work on that.
When she came to you with the idea of products and selling them on television, did you think?
I thought it was silly, and I still do. It's like hard to believe. It's like, it's one thing if it's someone else's wife. You go, oh, why can't you be like that? Then it's your wife. You go, I don't believe it. I don't really, but she's doing it. You don't believe that she has that extra switch inside, and it's like, ta-da, and she can sell anything. I mean, she can sell you bear traps. You need a bear trap. I'll buy it.
She's really something.
Has
it made you competitive?
Yeah, sure. Definitely competitive, but not in the sense like, I think there should be almost a moratorium on people of the same, you talk about same-sex marriages. No, I think it's same career marriages. That's rough. Like two actors marrying. Really, really difficult. But I don't have it. Jennifer feels as though she's the single worst actress on the planet. She's the antichrist of acting. She is like, she seriously is like, she admits it. But she's a great pitch person. And so there was nothing that really crosses over. The only time we have an argument, the only time we fight, is if I miss, like, my daughter's reciting Three Blind Mice and I can't get there on time. It's like, you got to, that kind of thing. Commitment to the school, commitment to the children, and being there and being accessible.
She's a good mother.
Oh yeah, the best. She is the lioness.
Were you always a fitness freak?
Yeah,
You were even back college?
Oh yeah. I started when I was about 12, only because I was not. I was, quote, picked on, and I had tremendous issues. And I don't think, Larry, we ever get over our issues. I think kids growing up, if they were picked on or felt inferior at 12, they're going to feel that way at 72. You just deal with it better. I'm serious.
If I get a picture of you, look at you at 12, not much different than now. Just situations changed.
Completely.
Still little Sylvester is little Sylvester.
It's there. And that's why a lot of guys, like, say, how did Mike Tyson, like, he did, because even as tough as you are, he has issues in there when he was 10, and they're very fragile, and they can implode and take you with them. So I think where I had these great inferiority complexes, I said, boy, I need something. And when I saw Steve Reeves and I saw Hercules, it's like, oh, this is medicinal. This is like perfect medicine. Now I feel as though I could do something.
Were you a bodybuilder?
No, I was scrawny.
Did you become a bodybuilder?
I became a bodybuilder. But back then, bodybuilding was like some guy'd have a cigar, in the gym, dipping ashes on your face. Go, hey, can I work in with you? And you go, so it really wasn't bodybuilding. It wasn't like now.
Charles Atlas ads.
No, it was Charles Atlas.
We'll be right back. We'll ask Sly Stallone about the magazine Sly. Hey. Do again.
You seen anything that's impressed you so far?
Yeah.
Yeah?
First of all, he may not be the greatest fighter, but he can be the greatest fighter.
Damn it.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
You think they
He's
can go all the way?
arrogant. Yeah, I do.
Hold him, stop.
I think he'll be there with anybody.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Anybody?
Anybody.
I'm talking about...
Yeah, the De La Hoyas of the world. Just needs to be sharpened up on a few little things.
John, I told you that I'd help you when I could. You interested? You can't possibly want to stay here for another 5 years.
In here, at least I know where I stand.
We're back with Sly Stallone. The announcement tonight that Rambo will return. This will be Rambo number what?
Uno, dos, trois, cuatro, 4.
But you lost Richard Crenna.
I know.
What a man.
Whoa.
Did I love him?
He's an unbelievable guy. I mean, you know, he used to come out with... I should have brought this. There's that me hitting him with a pie in Rambo. He's like Colonel Trump. He's just aggravating me so much. He'd come out with like Sly's my guy, or hit me with a hand buzzer, and I'm trying to stay in
What
character.
a wonderful actor.
Unbelievable.
Flamingo Kid.
First of all, he could do everything. He literally had a magnificent speaking voice, a radio voice. He could do it all.
He went fast too, didn't he?
Hard. He kicked it, so I thought. I talked to him about his throat cancer, and then he develops pancreatic.
And that's no hope.
That's
Tell me about Sly.
Well, I actually got the idea, you know, when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor.
Still is.
He certainly still is, and he's doing a great job, tough job. And he was made editor-in-chief with David Pecker of doing some of the other bodybuilding magazines, like Muscle and Fitness. And I thought, that's a great idea. You know, I'd like to do a magazine. All right. But how do I approach it? Maybe I could put what has worked for me, what it hasn't. And then I looked at, the world needs one less bodybuilding magazine. There's like 400 of them. And truthfully, there's no secret. To build a bicep, you go up and you go down. And it's been that way since the dawn of time. This is the way it works. I don't care. They sit there and they tell you 100. They do it this way, do it in the sun, do it holding a muffin. It's one and down. That's the way it is. So I thought, we can have a few exercises in there, but let's just deal with different ideas that are problems or questions that guys 35, 40, 50 on up have. Because at a certain point, we know the jokes of life, all right? And I love to write stories and like little rants about what I think about female relationships, what we think about that. We interview.
A magazine is the most expensive thing to start up.
It is.
So you need backers. How did this all come about?
Well, I had known David, David Pecker, who does the Star and the Globe, whatever. And I go, okay.
But he knows his magazine.
But he knows his magazine, and he runs American Media, and he responded right away. And you're right. Here's a statistic: there's 7,500 magazines in the United States. 7,500, and they have magazines. You know, that's for the county, for the state.
Lovers.
Exactly right. They have magazines like for guys that like white shrimp. Okay, I mean it's a niche thing. Every kind of magazine you can think of. And 2,500 magazines a year go down. So why would you want to do that? I said, all the more reason to get into it, you know? So we came up with the concept, interviewing certain people, kind of being out of the box and answering questions and being more, I have to be very accountable. In other words, the magazine has a kind of an edgy, it's a little, I wouldn't say sarcastic, but playful, you know what I mean? It isn't just articles. There's an attitude to them.
Are you hands-on?
Oh, big time. I probably do about 10 articles per magazine. I know, I'm getting writer's crib. It comes out, right now, it'll be monthly, but it's every 6 weeks.
Every 6 weeks, and then eventually monthly.
Monthly, right.
Its concept is health? Is that its
Well,
name?
yeah, I mean, it's what it is. It's because health is just about also, it's mental health. It's like knowing, is everyone having the same problems as me? I hope so. So you share in this magazine that you're not alone, that our thoughts are pretty similar, and that you have a kind of a whimsical or a funny outlook on life. Because for those who think life is a comedy, for those who feel life is a tragedy, so you got to think about it. If everything really gets to you, if you're so hung up in the past, then it's over. So and I say, guys, I have the same hang-ups you have. Here's what I did to get over them. And then we'll interview people like Brooke Burke, or we got Mickey Rourke, then you got Phil Mickelson, and you got Suge Knight. You're talking about, you know what I mean? It's everything in there. It's just, I thought, let's just try to do something that is a little refreshing.
90% male.
At first, but not really. I mean, a lot of women read male magazines. Of course, a lot of guys read female magazines, but they have another issue to deal with. But a lot of women read men's magazines and say, "Oh, this is what these guys are thinking." You know, it's like studying up on the enemy here.
What's been the reaction?
Fantastic. We usually, you do in your first issue like 30,000 magazines on the stand, and we were over 175,000. So we're doing really well.
Starting to sell ads too?
Yeah, starting to sell ads. Yeah.
Like Oprah, are you going to be on every cover?
I don't know. You know, I thought I'd be on the first few, but I wouldn't mind. Why, you want to be on one? We'll sit there and like...
No, sir. Yeah, I noticed, I just turned to one page, The Great Depression, Sly on Depression. Now, you're not a psychiatrist.
No, but it's what I think about depression. It's like, by the way, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. Some days I just wake up and hate everything. No reason. I have a nice house, nice bed, everything is wonderful. What gene, what thing in our subconscious, what in our primordial oozing past that we drug out of the swamps, why? Why do people just wake up in a bad mood? I said, I don't know. No one knows. It isn't worth getting the courtesy of shrink because it's going to happen again. Deal with it. It's okay. It will pass. Just realize you're not alone. That kind of thing.
That's this whole idea is a great idea.
Oh, really?
Revolve it around you. Now, did the book come from this come from the book, or are they just...
No, they almost came out, the book actually was first, because the book takes a much longer time, and the book itself is, the first part of the book is a little bit about my life, not the really seedy part of it, but the part of it, and talk about Hell's Kitchen and why.
Trenton, we don't
No, we're not in there. And, talking about how, I felt as though certain movie parts, whatever, pushed me to, I would eat differently for Cliffhanger than I would for Rambo, and then Copland, whatever, and how I realized that food really does dictate a lot of your mood and your attitude and whatever, and how all diets don't work. They don't work.
I'll pick that up in a minute. The book is Sly Moves, great title. Sylvester Stallone, written with David Hockman. It is published by HarperCollins. We'll be right back.
Why is it you never got married, Freddie?
All the best girls are taken.
We're back. By the way, there's a line of products even involved with Sly Stallone. He stops at nothing in his quest to top his wife, and it'll wind up she's selling these on QVC and makes more.
I certainly hope so.
That's the way it's going to go.
Hey.
So we have the book, Sly Moves. It
Right.
deals with your life and then food related to your life.
Right.
Are you a health nut?
No, not at all.
You're
if you went into, oh God, if you went into
You'll eat pasta, you'll eat butter.
please, if you went into my icebox, you would think it belonged to an overweight mud wrestler. It has everything from Red Bull to beer to salami to cheese, but then again it'll have broccoli and pomegranate. It's moderation. I tell people, first of all, if you're going to lose weight, I tell it to the boxers on the Contender, you cannot expect me to go to Larry King and say, oh, yeah, you know what, I want you to completely dress differently. I don't want you to ever wear the suspender. I want you to take the tie off. I want you to come in here and wear a tank top every night. He said, I can't function. I don't feel comfortable. Well, same thing. You take people out of their food zone, and it's only a temporary situation. I believe that there are only about 25 foods that you basically eat and love, and you do it over. You go to a restaurant, and you say, you know what, today I'm going to try the Boston Scrod.
Forget it.
You're not. You're going to go, I'm here for a steak. I'm here for this. I came to this restaurant because I like that. And usually, if you're a pasta guy, it's only a certain kind of pasta. That's what you like.
So what do you tell people?
So I tell people when they buy these diet books and they see 7 days and it's orange roughy, and then take Laughing Cal string cheese to work with you and have that at 2, you're not going to have it. It's not going to work. It's ridiculous. So whatever you're doing, if you're eating 9 pizzas a day, eat 8. And in the beginning, I say for the first 5 or 6 months, just reduce. Even if it's horrible food you're eating, try shrinking that. At least they can deal with that. They don't have, I mean, can you imagine people running to the supermarket and throwing everything out of their cupboards and, you know, jumping up and down on a Lay's potato
Think about
chips.
it. You could eat half a baked potato instead of a whole baked.
That you can deal with, right? That you can say, I can deal with that.
Right.
But if I tell you, no, I want you to have a candy yam
Yeah.
and a Brussels sprout, but 1 olive, take out the pimento. You're going to say, you know what?
Good luck.
You can't do it. So all I know is this has worked for me. I have gone to diets that are so radical with milk and water and fish, and I got down to 2.4 body fat. The Mr. Olympia at that time was 4. Okay, I got to the point that I was an anatomy chart. I had veins in my hair. I couldn't remember my name. I was a drool cup. I was a total, I mean, I would sit there, I would lose a spelling bee to an orangutan. I was gone. I had nothing. But I was sure good for Rocky, I'll tell you what. It was perfect for the part. But I fell apart. And then I got into a spiraling situation where I didn't want food anymore. And I became almost bulimic, all right? I just lost it, which is the first. I never admitted that, but I almost did. And I said, whoa, what is happening now? Now it's taken over this vanity thing that you don't want to lose it. Well, no one can maintain that. It's a temporary situation. You have to get back to eating real food. So then I went the other way, you know, in Copland gaining 40 pounds. And I understand what ravaging down carbohydrates, all of a sudden, in 4 months, I went from like best abs to like complete, like a giant bodice, bustle. I was, you know, seriously, the Michelin dude. And I developed sciatica, heart palpitations. I had an ulcer.
Well, boy, it was a good role.
And boy, I'll tell you what, I didn't mind it. And it was all worth it, okay? No. I was going to the Canadian pancake house where, for a lot of people don't realize that they would serve pancakes that double as oxen's wheels. I don't know if you ever saw it. Oh my God, you never saw it? 12-pound pancake. 2 6-pound pancakes. Obviously, they went out of business.
Who would eat this?
And they had more homeless people hanging outside that place because you knew you couldn't eat it.
You notice how you said we always revert back to what we were?
Yeah.
You said icebox. You
Don't
look in
bring
my
that
icebox.
up. My wife does that too.
Icebox.
No, you don't.
That's right out of the East.
Jennifer?
It's Italian and Jew. Grew up in the East. You had an icebox. It came by with the ice.
I can't believe I said that.
I heard you say icebox.
It's like, what is it like, what is the word we use for, like, you know, a single engine plane? It's like, you know.
And you also said you were bulimic, close to being bulimic?
Almost, yeah, close. I almost went that far.
Throwing up your food?
No, yes, on Rocky 3. To get
Really?
down, yeah, to do such a drastic change in one's body, you have to almost alter the whole chemistry to it. And doing that, you're starting to mess with the brain. And you don't want to do that. So I realized that diets can be incredibly dangerous. And you find yourself falling into that pattern. And I saw it. So I swung the other way.
Now, also in this book, of course, is exercise.
Exercise.
That may be the hardest thing for people to get into a program of.
It is, because I think that exercise, you can have gain without pain. I don't like pain. And I've done, again, the same as what I told you before with the foods. I've gone to the 60 sets a day, 7 days a week, to the point where my body broke down. It can't work. The body needs to rest. It needs a lot less exercise than you think. It needs to have it in a regular, I do it 3 times a week, an hour. That's not so hard. It's, if you do that in conjunction with shrinking the amount of food you have, not changing your food, just shrinking, and something you enjoy. And start casually. I don't care if you're in the gym for 6 minutes.
Walk.
Yeah, seriously, open a letter. Do something.
Walking is a terrific exercise.
That, strangling your toothpaste tube, do something. You know what I mean? Just like, you know what I mean?
Everything burns calories.
Everything burns calories. You know, scream at the neighbor, like, let it out.
What do you tell people, though? I mean, isn't it hard to make that? When you open your eyes in the morning, you don't want to exercise. Nobody wants to exercise.
Oh,
you
no,
feel great
no,
after you exercise.
No, you don't.
Nobody says, wow, I can't wait for the treadmill.
No. And therein lies that choice where you go, okay, I don't want to do this. That must mean it's good for me. Because if I want to do it, it's got to be easy. So right away I know if I don't want to do it, it's good. It's like, because the brain, I realize my brain is not working in conjunction with my needs. My brain is going, don't do this. I don't want to sweat. Let's just go and have some coffee. Let's be cool. The papers are downstairs. Come on. Then the other side going, then you're gonna hate yourself in the afternoon. Take that 15 minutes and go there. And there it is, and there's the battle. And when you do that 10-minute thing, and here's what I recommend for people in the morning, is just 5 minutes of just put on the CNN and just try to touch your toes. If you can just get your hamstrings loose in the morning, just your hamstrings, you're coming out of the house feeling like, you know, Ray Bolger in Wizard of Oz. You're clicking your heels. Just your hamstrings. I'm not talking about sitting there working up a lather. Approach it gradually, and then you're going to want more.
Our guest is Sylvester Stallone. The book is Sly Moves, My Proven Program to Lose Weight, Build Strength, Gain Willpower, and Live Your Dream. The magazine is Sly. We've got other things to talk about. We'll get to that right after this.
Stay out of my bedroom. Don't messing up my pillows and sheets with your powder and perfume. If you don't have some understanding of me.
This is with Sly Stallone. By the way, is this Rambo movie at all going to be political? You know, that a lot of them complained the early ones were kind of right-wing, if we're gung-ho.
No, because he's past that. He's really assimilated into the, I guess, the tapestry of America.
He's got a job?
Right, he's got a job, but see, his job has put a lot of pressure on the wife, and now he's taking the family away to a secluded cabin. And little does he know.
Trouble.
Big time. Because, you know, when you go in these certain areas, there's certain pockets in America that these people live there like 150, like Deliverance. Think that.
Oh, boy.
You're out of your
white
safe
supremacists, too?
Well, white supremacists have been done, but they are that kind of group. They're very clannish. And, you know, there's things going on. They run things.
They take him on.
They do.
That's a great thing. I like that concept. What about women boxers? You like the idea?
You know, it's not a bad idea because I think women are more ferocious than men. I really do. I've seen women when you push their button and you just want to hide every sharp object in the house because they just take you, the house, they just go completely implode. You know, like do not. I mean, they can really get wound up. So I think and they're incredibly competitive. I mean, you just put. What was it? I don't know if it was Balzac or something. When you see two women hugging each other, it's like I get the same feeling like when two fighters are touching gloves before a fight. You know what I mean? It's like
I don't like you.
Hello, yeah, how are you? But you know, there's that thing. And I interviewed a female boxer in my magazine, the one that actually was in $1 Million Baby, and I
knocked her out.
Yes, and I said
she's some fighter, right?
She's unbelievable. She's fighting Ali's daughter. And I said, in reality, did you ever have a situation with your boyfriend where, like, yes, I had to knock him out? I said, that kind of put a cramp in the relationship. Well, he was a karate instructor. I said, wait a minute. You knocked out a karate instructor? He goes, yes, but we hadn't learned to communicate. I said, that's not the point. You understand that I don't want to go with a girl who can smash my ribs. I really don't.
Were you ever a boxer?
I was I could move well, but I thought I was a boxer until I got in the big ring with Roberto Duran.
You got in the ring?
I got in the ring with him and Joe Frazier, and they took my arms, and they became like bad finger painting.
Just hitting your arm?
Oh, forget it. And it got to the point where they were so good that Duran got tired of hitting me in a fight. We started making sounds of where he could hit me. I said, stop with the beeping. All right, I get it. You can get me whenever you want it. And moving with Ray Leonard, there's a part that said, you know, I bet I could give him a run for the money, and then you watch him beat up Tommy Hearns. You go, can you beat Pete Sampras? No. Can you beat? Why would you think? And you realize how good they are.
Do you like $1 Million Baby?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I did.
That's good movie making, right?
It's great movie making. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's simple. Again, it engages the audience, and I wish we had a little bit more of that. You know, the advent of CGI has done some wonderful things, but it's also made it a little...
You're talking about the computer?
Yeah, you know, to me, the biggest problem was, in a lot of ways, is when a guy could zip up a rubber suit with muscles on it. It kind of took the reality out of it, you know. Now you don't even have to get in shape for it, you know what I mean? And when you don't get in shape for it, sometimes you don't feel it quite as much. A lot of people say, well, what is it, sour grapes? I'm just telling you what I think. When you get in shape for something, you have to work really hard, spend 6 months doing it. You're committed to that.
What was it like doing that movie in the mountains?
Oh, it was
What was that movie again?
It worried me for a while.
What was it?
It was Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. No, that wasn't done with computers, right?
No,
You
I
swung
wish.
through the
I
mountains.
wish. Yes, it was like a mountain. Put a guy on it and
Take a rope
lower you
and
by
go.
rope, and you go. And what happens is, I was very scared at first, really scared. I'm not a heights guy.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. But what happens is, it's sick. After about a month, you start getting silly. You start doing goofy things like guys do, and before you know it, it's like, hey, can you stand on one foot here and catch a football leading over the edge? And they do it. And then I realized it wasn't just me. The stuntmen, during their lunch hour, would hang a crane over the side and bungee jump. Understand, the bungee jumping, when the rope would eventually play out, there's still 7,000 feet down. So they got to climb back up the bungee. You know, it's like, okay. It was a tough one. Then these whiteout storms would roll in, and the temperature would drop.
Where is that shot?
That was shot in the Austrian-Italian border of Cortina, which is the Dolomites, it's called.
The villain was great. It was
Oh, isn't that great, John Lithgow?
John Lithgow. I hated him.
You kill 2 people, they call you a murderer.
Kill 1 million, and you're a conqueror. Go figure.
Go figure.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
When you signed on to that, you knew it would be.
I knew it would be high, but I didn't know it would be so like, I didn't know at that time they were expecting us to actually hang off the side. and you know, really, I didn't think, and there was Michael Rooker and a couple guys enjoyed it. They would really push enjoyed it. They like thought it was funny. Some people were born with that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Who directed that?
Rennie Harlan directed.
Now, where did he have to be when all this was going on? Where's the director when you're shooting scenes in mountains? Where is he?
Well, he sure wasn't on the edge.
I mean, do you hear him?
No, actually, all you hear is that inner voice going, "Get the check. Make sure you're getting paid for this, because it's you just get into that
Have you
hole."
ever been seriously injured?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
Oh
Seriously.
yeah. Actually, in the book, I'm the first like bionic guy you've probably ever met. I have a huge cable here where I tore out my chest getting into a bench pressing contest with one of the strongest men in the world. It was ridiculous. I've gotten these fingers are all shattered. The knuckles are gone.
For movies and otherwise.
Yeah, usually for movies, there's been some real bad injuries. Real bad injuries.
We'll take a break and be back with our remaining moments with Sly Stallone, and we're going to delve into a product he's got. Watch. We'll be right back. Okay, now I have in front of me Stallone High Protein Pudding, vanilla cream, 20 grams of protein, low carbs, sugar-free,
1
100
carb.
calories.
What a misprint. How dare them do that?
1 carb. What is this a whole line of products?
Again, I believe that what nature takes away, you got to put back. And regular food is not going to do it unless you sit there, you're raised on a farm, or you have that kind of botanical grocery store next to you. I believe supplements are the key for people. It's really important for energy, for breaking down, for burning, thermogenics, for losing weight. And I thought, you know what? One thing, I've seen 1,000 of these protein bars. Mm-hmm. Well, it would take 30 of these cans to equal 1 protein bar amount of carbohydrates. So I said, and yet I get the same amount of protein. So I thought, why don't I try something like pudding? And I go, pudding, the name kind of gooky, pudding, whatever. Then I thought, yeah, pudding. That hasn't been around for a while. So the guy started working on it, and we all got together.
So only pudding is the only product so far?
So, well,
With
yeah,
various
no.
flavors?
I do a thing called Lean Fire, which is for energy, and I do a thing for male testosterone, which is Forza T, which really, I'm warning you right now, this could be hazardous to your health.
Put Viagra.
Yeah, it's like that.
Where do you obtain
You'll be
these
jousting up and down the street.
Where do you obtain these products?
Right now they're at GNC and other and
Well, let's
online.
try it.
Yeah, let's try it. Oh, yeah, I got the easy one.
Some of these things.
I know mine is broken. You did get the crappy one. See, this is where bodybuilding comes in hand. There we go.
This is good.
This is not bad.
No, not
Thank you,
bad.
thank you. This is again 20 grams of protein, and it's in a pudding form. So children eat it, you eat it. You can take it to work. It's like a
Only
meal in a
100
can.
calories.
100 calories.
20 calories from fat. 20 fat calories.
No,
It says 20 fat.
it does say 20 fat calories. Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
2
What you
grams
need.
of total fat.
Right. And about 1.5 carbohydrates, which is nothing.
A lot of potassium.
It's fantastic. Potassium is what keeps those muscles firing. And
no sugar. Now, how do they do that?
isn't that amazing?
And it comes in chocolate, no other flavors?
Well, yeah, we just developed banana, lemon, whatever. I mean, I'm starting to feel like a traveling salesman, but I'm really proud of this stuff because it is, you know, really.
No, it's good. And you get it at GNC.
Exactly right. Coming up next, on the next segment, nasal hair. We'll have a nasal hair remover. Thank you very much. No, but we got it.
Sly will be back next week with his nasal hair remover.
That's right, rug sweepers.
Also gets it out of the ears. Why don't we bring up this when we're eating?
But you know what? To take the onus off of eating. To take the onus. I enjoy this.
It's a great snack.
Thank you. And your kid will eat it. And I thought, why not? You know, it's one thing. It's great. I really appreciate about films and having that taking that journey. And I still want to take it some more. But I thought, you know, Arnold was really smart. I'm serious. Arnold, some of the other actors from bygone eras who took their celebrity and moved it. Remember Cary Grant was going to the Fabergé and he was going different things. I said, why not? Why just, is there some kind of religious experience of just being pure forever?
It's a put down.
You can, no, but it's not true. I'm looking today and when Laurence Olivier stepped out and did Polaroid, all bets were off.
Correct.
All bets were off. And I said, why not? Why not use the entire experience? Now,
De Niro and American Express.
Please. Julianne Moore and good. I mean, you see them all. You see it on DTV. I thought, you know, because at first I was incredibly standoffish about it.
You were.
Yeah. Then I go, you know, excuse me, aren't you putting yourself a little holier than
Anything
thou?
you want to do, you haven't done.
Not really. I mean, I wish I could go back and change a few things, but that is, you know, that's the bane of everyone's existence, is like frustration. But I would like to, I wish The Contender could have gone on more. Only because, not that it's such a financial bonanza, but it really served a purpose. It's where I live. I love coaching. I love seeing people step up and do things that are extraordinary. I love that. Since that is what it is, I think the next thing will be, I enjoy this. Again, it's all about, you know, trying to make lives a little bit better. And I'm trying to figure out what to do, you know. Keep that family going, you know, having a great time. And
Want more kids?
Not more kids. I just want to get as much quality life out of our life while we're here, you know.
You want to see them grow up.
Yeah, I really do.
How old are you now?
I'm 58 and a half, 3/4. Actually, about 11, 12.
Well, you'll see them grow up. There's good genes. You have good genes.
Yeah,
How long did your dad live?
I think he's like 86 now, 85.
All good stuff.
My mother is 41, so we won't go there. You know,
I know your mother.
Exactly. I think she's actually losing time.
She thinks she is.
Yeah.
How's
my
Frank?
mother will be 12 in a couple.
How's Frank?
Frank is great. Frank is very, very good for. He was responsible for picking a lot of the guys on The Contender. He's good.
Did a good job.
Actually,
Folks,
Frank is going to be one of
the
the.
book is Sly Moves. The magazine is Sly. The product is Stallone High Protein Pudding.
Did we forget
Jennifer-
anything?
Jennifer will be selling all this on QVC a week from Saturday. Thanks for joining
Shameless,
us.
but I love it.
Sly Stallone.
Thank you.
Thank you, babe.
Oh, thank you.